and welcome everyone into the Women's Mental Health Live. So we're going to get started. How these lives work is I normally start by doing a little educational bit at the top, like as a little intro on the topic that we are talking about. Um, and then have you been looking forward to this one, H? Oh, cool. And then I sort of open the room. And sometimes people get in the box and will share their stories and their experiences. Other times, like last week, I ended up. I know we got to 10k, Miss Forget. I got playlists and everything now. I'm so excited. Um, yeah, but thank you everyone who's helped me to get to 10k. And if you're new in the room and you've never been to one of these lives before, please do make sure you follow, give us a follow, and support this awesome community. I'm a little bit scared, Miss Baguette, because I'm on like 10,000 and like 20, and I lose about 50 people a day. So I'm scared that I'm just going to dip back under 10k again. But whatever, we've got here, we can get here again. But now I'm really, really happy that we finally got to 10k. Thank you, everyone. So I normally start with a little educational introduction to the topic, and then we open the room up, and um, and then we can either I can either ask you some questions. I've got some questions here to ask, or we might just have conversations. So we'll see where today goes. Now the thing with women's mental health is that it's a really broad topic, and normally I come in and we talk about a specific thing, but when we're talking about women's mental health, we're talking about things like depression, anxiety, social anxiety, generalized anxiety, panic, agoraphobia, other phobias, obsessive compulsive disorder, so like OCD. Um, PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder, body dysmorphic, or like it's a really broad area. And when we talk about women's mental health as well, we have to factor in other things like, sort of life-changing things like childbirth, any traumas that we've had, and also things like menopause, right? So this is a huge topic. And what I will say is we're just going to see where the conversation goes. And, some of the list of things I've just read out may be applicable to you, some and others may not. So I don't really know how this live's going to go. We're just gonna gently sort of feel our way through it, and whatever comes up comes up. And I'm happy to hold this space for people to share whatever they want to share today. All right, let's get into it. So, women's mental health is an issue that affects every corner of society, and yet it's often not given the focused attention that it deserves. And from the pressures of balancing work and family life to navigating issues like reproductive health, trauma, and societal expectations, women in the UK face a range of unique mental health challenges. And despite growing awareness, there still remains critical gaps in support, access to care, and understanding the nuanced ways in which mental health manifests in women. So, today, what we're going to do is we're going to try and explore not only the obstacles that women face, but also the solutions and strategies that we can implement to improve our own mental well-being. So, my goal today really is to foster an open, respectful dialogue that addresses some of these challenges, whilst I'm also here advocating for greater mental health support for all women as well. Whilst I'm just kind of going through my notes and stuff, I'm not reading the comments. So you guys are going to have to be each other's cheerleaders because the comments are not on my screen right now. So I'm on another screen. So I just thought in case you think I'm being rude and not answering anyone. Um, and the other thing is that there's social and economic factors that can put women at greater risk of poor mental health than men. However, women generally find it easier to talk about their feelings and have stronger social networks, both of which can help protect their mental health as well. What was the other thing I wanted to share with you? Hold on. There was a statistic I read. It's on another screen. Around 1 in 5 women have a common mental health problem, such as depression, um, anxiety. And while there can be many reasons why these do develop, some risk factors affect many women. And women are more likely than men to either be carers, which can then lead to stress, anxiety, and isolation, to live in poverty, which, along with concerns about, women's personal safety and working mainly in the home, can also lead to social isolation. Women are also more likely than men to experience physical and sexual abuse, which can have a long term impact on their mental health, and to experience sexual, the V word, I don't want to say it, which can cause PTSD. I don't want to say it, not because I don't want to say it, because it's TikTok. Um, and generally speaking, when women find it hard to talk about difficult feelings, they tend to internalize those sort of thoughts and feelings. And this, of course, can also lead to depression. It can lead to eating disorders and self harm. And men are more likely to act out their feelings through disruptive or sort of antisocial behavior. And then on the other hand, some factors protect women's mental health. The factors that protect women's health, yeah, we do mask, Mrs. D. I've just come back to the other window so I can see both. Um, Women tend to have better social networks than men, and we generally find it easier to confide in friends. Not always, but more likely than men, and are more likely to have been treated for mental health problems. So, sorry, I'm jumping between 3 screens. Bear with me. I had a little list of things. I can't find my list. Where's my listicles gone? All right, I can't find it. So, I'm going to let me put the links, or everything that I'm reading from, and where the information is. Let me just pop this on the screen for you as well. One sec. Oh, thank you, No Ducks. These are some of the resources that these are some of the resources that are currently available. One second, everybody. Do 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 do. I'm just muting Bluey because you've got no followers and you are not contributing to this conversation in any way. So goodbye. Goodbye. So these resources that I've put on the screen um, are available if you go to my profile. Thanks, HSM. I've said it, HSM Mum. Thank you for the amazing bear, everyone. Um, these resources, you don't need to write them down or anything, guys. If you click on my profile and scroll down, this image is there, so you can screenshot it or you can write these information from my profile. So these are. Let me get this open bigger. These are some of the women's mental health resources. So the information that I'm sharing with you right now is coming from mentalhealth.org.uk, so you can go on there and see that information for yourself. Women at Wish is a national organisation for women's mental health as well. If you are struggling and want some support, that website is worth going to. And of course, there is always NHS 111 for support, both online and a phone number as well. But those links are on my profile. Click the link in my bio. So I click the link in my bio and it's there. All right, so I have a question for you all. And let me know your thoughts in the chat. Hold on. Sorry, I'm literally juggling windows. It's crazy. How would you say, in your opinion, how would you say that the societal stigma around mental health, how does that impact women differently than it does men? I'll ask again. How does societal stigma around mental health impact women differently than it does men? Just gonna drink some water because my head is pounding. Jen Bob says there is still stigma around men having mental health. Yeah, I agree, 100% there is. If we have children or a certain type of career, maybe. Yeah, true. Hi FYPT. Yaya says there's a lot of assumptions towards women regarding in do you mean mental health diagnosis or MIS? I don't know what. Oh, misdiagnosis, sorry. There's a lot of assumptions towards women resulting in misdiagnosis. Yes, yeah, there really is. Yeah, Carson's wish. We automatically get labeled crazy or overreacting. 100%. Ah, Ellen makes a really good point. She says they assume women talk. That's really powerful, Ellen, because not all women talk. You're absolutely right. Hey, Alicia. H says that's a tough one. Women are expected, I suppose, to do it all and not complain. Yeah. Nikki says I feel the stigma is greater around men. Oh, is CEO Devon worried about being here? Am I saying your name right? Men are welcome here, by the way. Just yeah, this is focused on women's health that we do every Tuesday, but men are always welcome to all of our lives. Um, Women are seen as failing the people they serve in life. Yeah, and there is, isn't there? There's those social societal. That's the word I want. Societal expectations, on women, and there's a bit of a pressure there to do it all, whether it's your career, your family, your personal life, your kids. Oh, I don't know what happened, man, but my screen just scrolled all the way to the bottom, and I've just missed a load of messages. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, CEO Devon. Is it Devan? Am I saying it wrong? I'm glad you're here, darling. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. Joanne says, I'm finding it hard to talk about my struggles as I'm the one who helps everyone else. Yeah. And a lot of the times, we take on a lot and then it's like, well, who's going to listen to us when we're, carrying everyone else? That's such a good point, Joanne. I'm sorry to hear you're struggling. Proud Scott says, women are expected to just be cray cray, especially once a month, and that's it. Jade has had postnatal depression twice, and family said it was hormones and lack of sleep. Yeah, no ducks. Not all women can talk as they think they'll be judged. 100%. But that also puts another pressure on us, right? It's like this really vicious circle. Gossip Queen says a lot of women's mental health is put down to hormones. Very true. Oh, why is it doing this? It just keeps scrolling to the bottom. It's like TikTok's just like, Remy, hurry up, stop. You're taking. It's just scroll past a ton of messages. Mama G says people seem to forget we never get a day off. I think naturally we put ourselves on the back burner and look after others first, says Miss Francis. It's a vicious circle. Cursed, I'm 35 and I went through full menopause at 31 and it's awful. CG says, since I had my hysterectomy, my mood has changed and leveled entirely. Periods are evil things. CEO Devon had postpartum depression and I could never accept it. Four-fingered Kit Kat. I was told I'm not suffering with mental health, it's my meds. Wow. Mrs. Doubtfire says our masking can come back to bite us because we aren't presenting how we actually feel. Yeah, that's so true. Like there's so many topics that are coming up, right? From and this is why I wanted to talk about women's mental health specifically. Of course men have mental health. I just feel like with women's mental health, um, there are a lot of areas. Sorry, I'm not reading the comments right now. There are a lot of areas to tackle, whether it's like I've said before, whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's PMS to do with our cycles and hormones, whether it's PMDD, whether it's postpartum depression, um, whether it's traumas from SA, whether it's traumas from CA that we've experienced. Like there are so many, whether it's PTSD, whether it like there is, it's such a broad spectrum. And what I'm seeing, or menopause, what I'm seeing in the chat is exactly what I opened this conversation with, is that like this is going to be a very broad topic that will affect everyone differently, and I can see it in the chat of what people are talking about. No ducks, I have PTSD from the trauma, in a coma, day and night flashbacks for 5 years. My goodness. My goodness. Nikki says my sister had postpartum psychosis and her mother and sister-in-law were so narrow-minded. Oh, okay. All right, another question for you all. How can communities better promote mental health awareness specifically for women, in your opinion? How can communities better promote mental health awareness specifically for women? Joanne says there just isn't enough help for individual diagnosis. I would agree. Sammy says by freely talking about it. Two separate comas, no ducks. Bloody hell. Mrs. Doubtfire says having relatable chats such as this with support resources. Yeah. Mods, can you run back that poll again for me as well, please? Carson's Wish says stop labeling it normal for women. Yes. Yes, Carson's Wish. H says we should be able to talk about it and support each other. 100%. Educating people. All right, another question for you all. Oh, Miss Francis says in my church, We have women's only spaces to discuss mental health. I fought for it. That's wonderful, Miss Francis. That's really wonderful. So even within your church community, there is a safe space to discuss mental health. Is there okay, this is not on my list, but it just jumped in my head. Is there in your opinions, and I know this isn't a parenting live, but is there enough education in school about, mental health for young girls and stuff like that, in your opinions, for those of you who do have kids? Or is it again the responsibility of the parents at home to do that? Just wanted your feedback on that. Mrs. Doubtfire says women's pain is very normalized. Medical gaslighting is rife. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Joanne says this chat is the best I've had for a long time. Thank you all for sharing. That's why it's important that we have these chats and these spaces where people can have a voice. Proud Scott says not waiting until we're older to educate people. Proud Scott says I had psychosis at 17 and I was just labelled as the local crazy. Bloody hell. I'm really sorry to hear that, Proud Scott. You're all saying no, there's not enough in schools. Lindsay says there seems to be one service for all, but more specialist is needed for the kind of mental health and ethnicity. CG said my kids' current schools are really hot on it at the moment. Joanne says I had no talks in schools about mental health. I'm 43. Mama G says in my day it was grin and bear it. Oh, that's really good to hear. Lindsay B says my daughter's old school had an in-house counsellor and they were brilliant. Becky says I know I was sectioned twice at 16, but they just assumed I was dramatic. Bloody hell. Teddy Picker says my daughter is 15 and understands quite a lot about mental health. Not sure if it's come from school. Nikki says I'm 50. Mental health was never discussed. Ah, you're welcome. Sammy says thank you, Remi, for giving us a safe space. Always, always, darling. White Wolf Kaz says as parents, we had to get the kids counselling, mental health services, and keep on at schools, etc. Sammy says my daughter's school has Thrive and it's helped my eldest. Yeah, my daughter used Thrive um, when she started primary. She doesn't anymore, but she did after losing her dad. Um, but I'll talk about that some more on Thursday in the parenting live because we're doing a bereavement one for parents on Thursday. Miss Obsessed says, I feel like a lot of mental health services look at treating the short-term feelings rather than the root cause. Yeah, 100% agree with you on that. And Miss Francis said it also depends on your local areas too with mental health services. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, so Miss Obsessed was looking for some information, doing some research for me on this as well, and she could only find one women's mental health charity, which is nationwide, and it was one. There's just one. And she was saying that there are some localized supports and stuff, but that's really pretty shit, man. Yes, Proud Scott. How many of you have heard a doctor say this to you? Proud Scott has written, doctors tend to just say, well, you're a woman, these things will happen. Do you know what I mean? Carry on. Yeah, it's not necessarily the answer that you want. I know I've heard that, Proud Scott. Oh, you're a woman and you're of a certain age, it's to be expected. Shuby says 25 years ago I was told to pull myself together. Queen Bob says mental health services are severely underfunded, with not enough people wanting to work in the area. I love that, no ducks. Doing a BSc in psychology to challenge myself and to hopefully help kids in the future with mental health. Bless you. So I'm so interested in psychology. I love doing psychology. I've done about a year of it, and child psychology was the area that I really loved learning about. Kat, that's not true. Kat says my mental health is irrelevant because everyone else comes first. What's that? What's that saying? When they say about like when you're on the airplane, you got to fasten your own mask first before you can help everyone else. You matter too, Cat with a K. Oh, it's jumped all the way down to the bottom again. Oh, it's so annoying. Because I scroll up to try and see what you guys say, and then it just whacks me back to the bottom. Yeah, Queen Bob says, yeah, you can't look after others if you're not looking after yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. That's the saying, Debs. But it's also hard when you are in it and you're maybe, I don't know, Cat situation. But sometimes when you're on your own, I can only talk from like a single mum perspective. I'm a single mum with like no support around me in terms of like all my family and friends all down south. So like you do have to do everything. Even if your mental health is struggling, you do have to, take care of your daughter, take care of your animals, take care of the house. And then it's like, yeah, I hear what Cat with a K is saying. Um, that like sometimes it feels like everyone takes priority or everything takes priority. Um, but our mental health is so 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 important. I get you, Cat. I get you. All right, another question for you. How does race, class, and sexual orientation intersect with gender to impact women's mental health? So I'm just talking about intersectionality here. How does race, class, and sexual orientation intersect with gender to impact women's mental health? Kat says, I just said to myself, another day survived. Oh, bless you, Kat. I get you. Deb says, my mum's mental health took her at 59. It broke me, and I hate that I can't forgive her. Oh, bless you, Debs. That's really difficult. Not really difficult. I've had to deal with that in my family, so I know that feeling. Like I can very much relate to that feeling, Debs. And this is why, you know, talking about mental health is so important for you and for, what your mum did was my point with that. Sorry if that wasn't very clear. Lindsay B says very much so. That's why I've said before, not enough services for ethnicity. Oh, four-fingered Kit Kat says I've got too much going on to think about me. Queen Bob makes a good point. I've seen class impact diagnosis and therefore treatment. 100%. 100%. Oh, four-fingered Kit Kat says no one notices when I'm having an off day. Well, that makes me feel sad for you, darling. Um, and is that because, would you say, because the people around you don't care, or is there a part where maybe you don't express how you're feeling as well when you are having an off day? Like me coming on here tonight and moaning about my headache and that I'm a moody bitch tonight. Could that be part of it? Or is it just that you just don't feel seen even when you are, you know, not being sorry, I don't mean to laugh, I'm silly. I'm a silly human. Yes, Tracy, menopause 100% affects us so much too. And it also affects people that live with us too, right? And that is, again, like I said, this is a broad topic. Menopause 100%, is a big area when we're talking about women's mental health, just like childbirth, and any traumas that we've experienced as well. Oh, Maria, have you spoken to anyone, Maria? I hope you got some support, Maria, and I don't know if you've got family around you or friends, or if you have reached out to your doctor or, any of the sort of places that offer support when you're feeling that way. There is some numbers, by the way, in the poll. If you haven't seen it, if anybody does need it as well. I know you might not be feeling like that now, Maria. I'm just asking generally. But there are some numbers in the poll for Samaritans and Shout as well. I'm just opening that poll. Just I haven't clicked it. Can we get the phone number for Samaritans and add it into the poll, please? Because text Shout is the only number that's on there. Can we add the Samaritans number, one of the mods for me, please? Thank you. Um, sorry. I can only, is it me? Because I can only see one number in that poll, Miss Francis, which was the top one. Do the people have to click on it for the number or something? Because I can only see one number next to. They do. They have to click on it. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's just gone. It's just been updated. Cheers. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Jem, for the hand heart. Thanks, love. Oh, you see it. All right. Sorry. I'll shut up. As long as you can see it, that's the main thing. Um, Jem says the NHS is failing when it comes to mental health, unfortunately, and private is the way forward, but many can't afford it. Thanks, Uju. No Duck says that my comas have put me into early menopause, but I've had no menopausal side effects. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine, being in coma, the trauma of whatever happened that got you into the coma, being in a coma, then being put into early menopause is 100% going to, impact on your mental health and how you think and feel. Because that's a lot, no ducks, that you've been through. Lindsay B says, if anyone is in immediate risk with mental health, you can call 111 option 2, and it's an easy number to remember. So that is call 111 and then select option 2 if you are in immediate risk, or you are really, or you feel like you're severely struggling with your mental health. If you have no one else to talk to, please do reach out. Nutty as a fruitcake says, I had counselling. I felt sorry for the lady dealing with me. Listen, I remember the first time I had therapy and I felt the same. But as my best friend is a therapist, I can tell you every single therapist who practices has their own therapist and has their own support network. So the people that are helping you also are supported. So never ever fear about offloading trauma, however dark, difficult, painful it is. Just know that they are supported as well, and that's why they have that job. Um, yes, Proud Scott, that's so true. Proud Scott says the fear of talking to someone is scary, and the fear of being judged. It is. It really is. Counseling therapy is not easy. It's not easy, but it can really help. From my own personal experience. Thank you, Jem. Thank you for that gift. From my own personal experience, I remember how scared I was going to therapy. And I remember probably for the first maybe 6 to 8 weeks of like talking at a surface level and not really wanting to get to that deep stuff. And I didn't want to get to the deep stuff because that's where the pain was. And I knew it would bring up a lot of emotion for me, which it did. But also there was a part of it was like, can this person that I'm talking to, can they handle what I'm about to tell them? Knowing, how heavy my own trauma was. And so I do get that it's scary when you're going to counselling therapy. Um, Victoria is saying, Victoria says, completely agree. I'm on week 6 and I just can't seem to give them my trauma story. It is so hard. And also, and I'll be honest with you, right? I'll come back to yours in a minute, Pigeon. Um, with counseling and therapy, right? Sometimes you just may not bond or gel with that person, even though you know they can do their job. And I think this is really important to talk about that, like, sometimes the therapist or the counselor you're talking to just isn't your person. They're just not. And sometimes you can't open up to them because they're just not your person. And with all things, right, whether it's talking therapy, whether it's any other type of therapy that you might try, sometimes, even though they're trained and can technically hold your trauma and hold your story, sometimes if you don't feel that connection to that person, or if for some reason you don't feel that connection to them and that trust to them, then that can prohibit you in your journey because you can't open up to this person. And I've had that, like, very real, where I had a counselor who was very good, but there was a block for me and I couldn't open up to them. And so I had to get another therapist. And that, even then, that still took me until I had that comfortableness to feel free to go to my dark places and reveal my pain and my trauma and know that they could hold it and support me. So that's a really real point about, even if you are in counseling or therapy, sometimes if it ain't right, it ain't right. And sorry, I just went off on a fucking tangent. I'm sorry, guys. Just went off on a tangent. Oh, Handsome Pigeon. Handsome Pigeon said I went 20 years. 20 years. That's making me feel so sad, man, in my heart. 20 years without telling all my issues because the fear of getting my kids taken away. That's fucking brutal, man. I'm sorry, Handsome Pigeon. And that's a really fucking real point. That's such a real point, that sometimes the fear keeps us silent. Because it's like, if I say something, like, where could this end up? What could the... And so then you end up not saying anything, and you've internalized and you've held that in your body, in your mind, on your own. 20 fucking years, man. My eyes are welling up. I'm glad. I'm glad you can't see me on screen right now. I'm really sorry to hear that, Handsome Pigeon. Hey, Seaside. No Duck says if you say something you feel weak. Yeah. Anyway, does anyone get in a box? Because, Handsome Pigeon, you broke me. Blame Handsome Pigeon. Um, I got a shit ton of questions, but, like, you know what? Let's, yeah, we need a group hug, man. We need a group hug.
I never thought I'd sit crying eating McDonald's and chicken nuggets. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh,
That just hit me
told
different, man.
everyone. Yeah.
That hit me because it's so real. So fucking real.
When
Don't
when
you
I
dare say sorry, Handsome Pigeon. Don't you dare.
when I had postnatal depression, although I spoke out and said that I was down and that I weren't feeling myself, I didn't fully open up because I was too frightened.
Yeah,
I was genuinely too frightened that I was going to be judged, and this was my second baby, not my first. So I was genuinely that frightened that they were going to sit there and say that I was some sort of risk, or
yeah,
that I couldn't look after my kids. And that's, as a mum, it's your biggest fear.
100%. 100%. I mean, I said, I didn't really know where tonight was going to go because there are, like, it's so broad and, ooh,
Hello. Am I
hello,
echoing?
hello, babe. You're all right. Go on.
Are you okay? Because this is
I'm,
a lot for you to take on,
I'm
as
all
usual,
right.
Remy.
I know. This is what we do as women. We take on everyone's
We
things,
like
don't
to make
we?
ourselves feel miserable. So I always was like, had babies, felt really crap. Thought it was nothing. Everybody feels like this. Look at people with babies looking all happy, and I feel like dread and horror. I'm thinking, well, everybody feels like this. Get really anxious about things in life. Just always put it down to just my personality of being a stress head.
Yeah,
And then having had a hysterectomy because of my other health issues,
yeah,
but not being allowed to take HRT, as we've previously discussed. I was
Yeah.
put on an antidepressant to control my hot flushes, which do bugger all for controlling the hot flushes. But as I said in the comments, since stopping my periods and being on venlafaxine, my mood is so different. I'm so much less stressed, anxious, level. And it just made me realise that actually I had been struggling with my mental health for years.
Yeah.
And just completely being, as people have said, like, nope, got to get on with things. I'm a mum, got 2 young kids, I work full time. Well, I don't anymore, but I did.
I mean, you don't
And
work at all. You take the piss quite rightly.
I just watch you and nap and move my mouth every now and then so I don't get fired. But just, if you're feeling that I know it's easy to say, but if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stressed about things, like I used to get so stressed about going on holiday, the packing,
Oh, don't.
it would cripple me. And
Yep.
then my husband would be like, oh, isn't it great, we're going on holiday? And I'd be so stressed out about it. And now I just couldn't give a crap. I'm like, so what if we forget half of the things that we need? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you just, if you feel that you're concerned about anything, just see if you can speak to a doctor, see if you can speak to anybody, because just cut yourself some slack. And that I never cut myself slack. And now that is my biggest takeaway, that I wish I had been kinder to myself and cut myself the slack I would give others
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's that.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you for saying that.
It's okay.
Because I think that will resonate with a lot of people. Amy's just said, I really want to speak in a box, but I'm very nervous. Amy, listen, this is probably one of the kindest rooms on TikTok.
Definitely.
And you are, if you want to come up, you're more than welcome to. Or if you just want to talk in the comments for today, that's also fine. But please don't be scared to in terms of like anyone shouting at you or talking over you or anything, because I wouldn't allow that. And I'm quite patient, and I've got a headache, so I'm more patient than normal today. Normally I can be a bit savage, but today I'm on my best behaviour. So if you want to come up,
It's
you're
very
more
friendly, easy, Amy. Just don't look at your phone. This is the first and only box I've ever been in, is Remy's. I'd never been in a box before. And I came in the box and I overshared. And now
no, you didn't. You're
every
fine.
time Remy's like, does anybody want to get into the boxes? I'm like, me, I want to overshare. You just don't read the comments, just stare off into the distance and
Yeah, exactly that.
it's
So there you go.
fine.
Good tips from CG there. And
Okay.
just stare off in. Thank you, CG. That was
It's all
that
right.
was really that was really helpful. Thank you,
I'll
babe.
drop.
Love ya. Bye,
Bye.
darling. Hi, Victoria. Hello. How are you, darling?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Can I just quickly say thank you to No Ducks for sending me a bear gift, because I don't want to seem like an inconsiderate cow.
Oh,
Um,
no, talk over me by all means. I really don't mind. I don't mind.
um, And yeah, thank you, No Ducks. Appreciate it. Victoria, what would you like to share? I mean, I know like we've gone all around the houses, but you could share anything about sort of women's mental health today. What would you like to share?
I think, can I just start by saying, I think it's a bit of a generic comment, but it stands in respect of my inbox is open to anybody, anybody that needs to chat. I'm all ears. To the best of my ability, I will do whatever I can to just be an ear for somebody, because
Oh, that's
I know
nice.
how important it is. I do think that sometimes there's a lot of stigma, for want of a better word, around women's mental health.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of pressure. The same with men, of course it is the same with men, but I think there's a lot of pressure on women to carry on. We've always seemed like that we are the ones that keep everything together. We hold the fort. We can do this, we can do that, and there's not much time. There's not much time to struggle. And I think, like the lady that was just in the box was saying, I think it's so healthy to just give yourself a bit of slack, like she said, and just or even just saying something doesn't feel right. I don't feel right. I feel like things are bothering me probably more than they would have before.
yeah,
My big thing, I've got a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, and when I had my 9-year-old, it was lovely. It was lovely. Everything was lovely. She was an amazing first child. She lured me in, and then I gave birth to a demon child.
I've heard that so many times. Miss, Miss Obsessed will agree with you.
Honestly,
Feral.
my son is he's a breed of his own, bless him. But I really struggled after having him, and I didn't notice. It was my health visitor that noticed, and she kept sort of pushing onto me and saying, in the best possible way, by saying, Victoria, are you okay? Victoria, are you okay? I need to touch. I need to like check baby. I need to check he's good. Are you okay? And I wouldn't pass him over. When it came to like weighing him, I had to put him on the scales. I don't know why at the time, but it was obviously a sign to her. And in turn, it opened a bit of a can of worms, and I really sort of hit rock bottom. But it is the fear of I can't remember who put the comment. I'm so sorry, but it is that fear of losing your kids. I think especially when you for one, I don't know how to word it because I'm so worried that TikTok come after you, don't they? Is how, especially being a single mum and dealing with a bit of a narc for an ex-partner, there's a lot of pressure on me to succeed, to be the person that gets everything right, to make sure that the children are cared for, the children have got everything that they need, the house is kept together, the house is run perfectly. And I was really, really scared actually that if a system saw me fail, they would turn around and say, no, these kids aren't safe, they're perfectly safe, and I'm an incredible mother, not to blow my own trumpet, but I'm an incredible mother. But it is a fear, and it's a genuine fear.
And isn't that like when we really deep that, right? That we could be struggling with our mental health. We need help. We want help. But for fear of potentially losing our kids, we stay silent.
Yeah, it's the repercussions of everything. You can't help.
It's fucked up,
I'm
man.
naturally, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm such a natural overthinker. To my detriment, it's the worst trait about me, but I'm an overthinker.
Yeah.
So I will sort of see the bad of a situation. So if I sought help, all I was seeing was this end goal of being like, they're going to take my children.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, oh, actually, no, Victoria, they're going to help you.
Yeah.
All I saw was that they're going to see a failure. And that was that. And it took me ages, and it took my best friend in the world to self-refer me, or on behalf of me, for me to accept help. And if she hadn't have done that, the reality is I probably wouldn't have tried myself either.
This is the sad thing within the system, that the system's massively flawed.
100%.
And the system needs to be looked at in terms of who are making judgment calls, and because there are going to be circumstances where the children do need to be removed, but I think that there's been so many failings in so many areas that the system can't do right for wrong anymore.
I think that's the thing as well, don't you? You hear all these stories, and unfortunately, the only stories that sort of come to light via the press or the news or anything like that is where there's been a wrongdoing, or, for example, children have been taken through incorrect circumstances, and in turn, obviously, it makes it incredibly scary because you hear all these horrible stories. And you are going to automatically think the worst. We're only human. We're going to think, well, what if that happens to us?
Especially if you're in a negative headspace.
100%.
If you're already in a negative headspace, the overthinking is 1,000 times worse than when you're in a positive headspace and you overthink.
Exactly.
It's really difficult. Like, I had postnatal depression after having my second, and it took... I was on the verge of having a psychotic break for me to actually say, no, I need help. And I got really low, and I got really bad.
I'm so sorry.
Luckily, I had a very strong support network, And luckily in my area, there was a very positive team around. But it took for that to happen in order for me to address all the trauma from even from when I was a child, because it was always something that I knew had happened, but I never dealt with it. I just lived with it.
And sometimes I think it's a shame because I think that's such an easier, for want of a better word again, it's such an easier tactic to use, to just kind of try and put it to the back or put it in a little box, and just do your best to just carry on. Because I feel like I don't, in my circumstances, addressing things as much as in turn will lead to positivity, or I hope it will, or a better mind space.
And this is
You've got to go
the
through the dark
thing.
again.
And I think I went in when I first started getting help. I went in very, what's the word? Very naively, thinking they're gonna fix me.
Yes, I had that mentality.
But what I learned through my therapy journey is that when you've been through trauma or you've experienced trauma and you're struggling with your mental health, they do fix you, but you're never the same. You don't go back to being the same person, because you then have all these other things that you now deal with and all these other things that you've experienced. And in my head, you just become more balanced with it, because you can't undo trauma. Trauma is trauma and you can't undo it. And I think that it's important that you go in with the right expectations, because I know I went in thinking I'm going to get back to being like how I was before, but I'll never be how I was before, because I can't.
I said exactly the same thing. I said that I have had to say goodbye to Victoria, if that makes sense, and welcome, or the old Victoria, and welcome in the new, who has had dealt with her fair share of stuff over time and been through some horrific things. But I need to welcome her and this new version of me that will hopefully go on to be a new version of happy. It breaks my heart because like the old me, for want of a better word, was the favourite version of me. Oh gosh, I loved her so much, like so happy, so carefree, so everything. And I just hope that the new side of me will also have the opportunity to be able to be that person, or to the best that I can anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've come to peace with saying bye to the old me, and actually I much prefer the new me now. Now I've gone through the therapy and I've unpicked certain things that the old me used to do
Yes.
that the new me doesn't do. And I think, well, actually, no, now's the better version of me, because I'm self-aware. I've got more boundaries. I'm much more grounded. Like, there's been a lot of positives for me. It's a journey, and it does just take time. It really does just take time. And therapy is one of them things that it isn't for everybody. It won't have the same outcomes for people, but one thing I will say to people who are going through it, you definitely get worse before you get better, because when you start to talk, those emotions you start to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. It does. It gets worse before it gets better. 100%.
So if
In fact,
anyone,
it gets horrible before it gets better. But
yeah, if anyone sat there thinking I'm having therapy and it's just not working, it's starting to make me feel worse. If therapy's starting to make you feel worse, therapy is working.
yeah,
So keep pushing through it, because when you come out the other side, I don't know about you, Remi, but I know when I had a certain therapy with a certain therapist, the end of our sessions, I walked out of there and I felt a million times stronger. And I felt like I got a lot off my chest, and the whole weight of the world had been just lifted off my shoulders because I got what I needed from it.
Yeah.
And that was like the sixth therapist that I'd had.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first.
Yeah.
But it is a journey and it is hard, but
And that's why
side.
that's why I wanted to make that point earlier about, sometimes when we feel like we can't open up in therapy, sometimes it might be because it's just the wrong therapist to go on that journey with you. And I think it's important that people understand, like, just because you have a therapist, if it's not working, you have that power to switch it up and find someone else. Thank you for sharing, Victoria and Zoe. Amy's on the stage and she's a bit nervous, so I don't want to keep her sitting there if she's stressed. No worries, four-fingered Kit Kat. Thank you for hanging, babe. Thank you. I'll check messages when I come off, darling. Um, Hello, Amy. Do you wanna? Hello, darling.
Hi, Remi.
Thanks for being brave and coming up.
You are the only one that I have ever been very comfortable
Oh, bless
to actually
you.
go into a box with.
Oh, good.
I
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that.
obviously, I've only only recently, over the last couple of months, obviously, I've been able to come into your box, like not box, but I've been a silent watcher,
Yeah, you've been in the room.
which is lovely. You make my day.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So you obviously touch on the nice things on TikTok.
Hmm.
The ones where
Oh, I can't hear you. Can anybody else hear Amy, or is it me? What's happening? No, you can't. Oh, sound's gone. Zoe, can you just unmute so I can just check the sound? Hello, it's me.
I've been on lots of obviously medication to try and help.
Amy, I don't know what happened, but you dropped out for about a minute, and I didn't hear us.
I dropped it for a minute, did I?
Like
I'm
we
sorry. I'm very
we
new to this. This is like I say, this is my very first time.
It's all right, darling. Don't worry.
So yes, my mental health hasn't been good for many years. Because I have obviously 3 boys.
Yeah.
Obviously my eldest is severely disabled, which takes up a lot of time, and the other 2 are nightmares.
Yeah.
Which again take up a lot of time. Obviously I've been put on lots of medication, which I don't react to it. It sends me the other way. It makes me even worse.
Yeah.
They have pushed for therapy.
Yeah.
But it's having that where I'd like to speak about situations.
Yeah.
Because obviously I lost my husband, which is my 3 children.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's
Oh, the sound's gone again, Amy, babe.
right.
Oh,
Can I say? So sorry. Can I say it's due to? I don't know the term in that.
Is it the S? Is it the S word?
Due to D.
Okay.
Ends with S.
Yeah.
Which was the day before my my eldest son's birthday.
Oh
So obviously it's been a very big struggle. They are fantastic. Well, my eldest one is currently in hospital, seriously ill, but hey ho, he's doing it just before his birthday. But I would like some advice, like obviously the ladies in the box are talking about therapy. I'd like to talk about it, but I'd like some encouragement, which obviously I know obviously you shouldn't advise, like obviously it's, but it would be nice to obviously have, obviously like listening to the ladies that are talking and obviously yourself about therapy and being able to overcome traumatic situations, obviously, has led up to.
Well, hold on. I tell you what, fabulous Debs has just entered the room. Debs, get in the box. Debs, get in the box. Amy needs you. Remy needs you. Get in the box, Debs.
One thing I will say, Amy, is that so my eldest, he suffers with cystic fibrosis, and he's been extremely poorly a few times in his life. And I know what it's like when you're spending the majority of your time in the hospital. And you're having things like Christmas, birthdays interrupted, and it is hard as a parent when you've got a child that's chronically ill. One thing I've found that helped me was speaking to other parents that understood the feelings that I felt and understood the guilt that I felt, and finding that sort of common ground with people helped me a lot through that, because then I didn't feel so alone, if that makes sense. So I don't know if you've got any, I don't know what condition your son's got, but I don't know if you've joined any sort of support groups, things like that, around it, because that was something that massively helped me with dealing with Dylan.
He is palliative care.
Oh,
It's end of life.
babe.
But he has got to a good a good age. It's just obviously seeing this come up tonight. It's obviously really triggered. Obviously, I'd like to obviously be able to speak about situations.
Yeah.
It's obviously not one for TikTok, is it? Really, it's obviously.
Well, listen.
It's nice to
Yeah.
obviously have this nice space to be able to come to and have a bit of a conversation, because obviously you shut yourself off when you've got a child who is not a child, he's an adult, but a child who, I always call him a child, who needs you so much, and it is a pressure, a very big pressure. I don't speak about it much, and you ladies, well, you're hearing me tonight.
I know you. Listen, man, my eyes are just filled with water again. But I know you said, you wanna talk to somebody and you wanna start therapy. Have you, as of yet, have you made any steps with like talking to your GP about getting some therapy support yet? And I know you're asking us like for our opinions about how we've sort of handled therapy, which we can give you, but I just wanted to ask that question first, my darling.
I have been advised, and they have pushed it. It's just very difficult to try and sometimes open up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I get that.
which
Can I just, sorry, I don't want to come across rude. Can I just say, Amy, you're amazing. My heart, honestly, is breaking for you.
I'm not.
No, you are lovely,
You
because
are.
it sounds like there's been so much to contend with, and the fact that you're here is huge. So hats off to you, my lovely. You're incredible.
Yeah.
I will jump down in a minute, just because my Satan child is starting to Satan. I don't know if you can hear him. I'm really sorry if you can.
It's all right. Don't worry.
But Amy, the only bit of advice, I don't want to give advice because that sounds, I'm not an expert, but I think if you ever can get to the point where you end up being able to go through the process, as difficult as it may be, to the best of your ability, just trust it. I tell my therapist every week that I don't like her, and that I think she is rude and she's lazy, and I will question her questioning me. But I do know that she wouldn't be asking me things if it wasn't relevant or if it didn't need to be picked at. So you've just, like I said, to the best you can, you've just got to trust the process, which I do appreciate is a lot easier said than done.
Oh, Victoria, that is such a true and valid point, what you've said. 100% agree with Victoria. It is hard. Therapy is hard. And yeah, you got to trust the process. Thank you so much for saying that, Victoria, because like sometimes my head is full of too much things to say. And so it's really nice when other people say really important points as well. So thank you for that, Victoria.
I am going to jump down, but
All
lots
right,
of
love.
love to everybody. Thank you for putting me up here, Remi. I really appreciate it.
I'm just going to give you a
Have a
quick
lovely
follow
evening.
back before you drop. I followed you. Right.
Oh,
Thank
bless you.
you.
Don't
Thanks,
worry.
darling. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
up
you.
and
Lots of love,
contributing.
everybody.
Big love,
Take care,
Victoria.
everyone. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Let's go to Debs. Debs, I know you've not long come in the room. Hello, darling. I hope you're all right.
Hello, my lovely.
Hello, babes. So Amy's come up and is talking about wanting to talk more, like, and go down the therapy route. But
Yeah.
obviously, the question is around how do you kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, because if I'm chatting shit, just correct me. How do you sort of open up about those traumatic things and
That's a really good question.
it
That's a
is.
really good
Is
question.
that the right question, Amy? Did I summarize it, or is that not the right question?
No, that's actually perfect, Remy,
Oh, good.
because
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And I only heard the end of what's going on for you, Amy, and you're absolutely incredible. What an incredible mum you are doing this, for your child. It's just but yes, when it comes to therapy, excuse me a moment. When it comes to therapy, it's actually up to the therapist to make you feel comfortable enough to open up. And usually when we struggle to open up, it's because we don't feel comfortable in the company of that therapist.
Yeah.
The other end of that is that if there are things that you were talking about that you've either never talked about before or are so deep that you don't know whether it'll come out right or whatever the fears and the anxieties are around talking to a therapist, let things go. You don't have to blurt it all out in week one. This is the thing. A lot of people
Yeah.
think they have to get everything out all the cards on the table in week one. But let a little thing out in week one that you've not told anyone before, or you're struggling, and deal with that little thing first. And then the next week, when you feel comfortable again, and again, like the last person has just said, sometimes the therapist will ask what I call pokey questions. And they are to kind of dig a little bit deeper under the surface of what's really going on. And it's to allow yourself to allow that to happen. And it's because you're helping everybody else. And when you're a person who helps everybody else and does the things that you do, it's tough sometimes to receive help for yourself. So give yourself that time.
Yeah.
Sit back, know that this is for you and you only, and you deserve it. You absolutely 100% deserve to have somebody listen to you, have somebody ask you the right questions to dig deeper into what's happening for you. And over the weeks that you're with them, keep on peeling the onion, keep unraveling what's there for you. And the more you do that, the more the stuff that you really don't like talking about or don't want to talk about, it'll start to become easier to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. I just worry because obviously my middle son actually was witnessed, obviously, the unaliving of his father. So obviously I've took on everything with my middle son and shut myself down. Because I have to make sure he's okay, because obviously he's 19. Obviously he witnessed it at 11.
Yeah.
So obviously I've shut myself off to be able to just get my son straight, like not straight, but through school and college, all those kind of things. And obviously I've just literally put myself last, but which isn't good, because I know now it's not good for them. Obviously.
The thing is, though, Amy, you've done what was right for you at the time. You wanted your son to get through all of those things, and you wanted to be that strong person for your son. And so, yes, you can reflect and say, oh, well, we could have, and yet we're here in the now, so let's do it now. And let's, you did everything that you thought or knew was the best at that time. And so it was the best at that time.
But I know it's not now.
It was the best at that time, because you've done the best that you could have done with the resources that you had available at that time. And I mean, not just external resources, I mean your internal resources as well, and what you could cope with and what you could deal with. And
Today,
what we often do, Amy, is we beat ourselves up about stuff that we've done in the past, and yet we can't change the past. What we can do is change what happens in the future.
most definitely. I totally get that. It's been very hard on my son's obviously witnessing, and obviously I've tried obviously medication, but I've not tried the route of therapy. This is my first therapy session, I suppose.
It's good
to just literally just think it's not nice on me now. Now my lads are getting older, it's not nice on me. I want to smile again.
Yeah, and you deserve it. You deserve to be able to smile again.
Yeah. Right, ladies, I'm going to drop down because I'm getting emotional. I'm fine.
I've got so much love for you, Amy, and go and ask your GP and get some therapy sessions underway. And if at any point, just add me and inbox me, and if you just want to have a chat with me, then I'm quite happy for you to have a chat with me. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll drop down into
Amy,
the comments.
Amy, before you
Thank you very
go,
much.
Amy, just to say, I know this is your first time in a box. I'm so proud of you for coming up today. I'm really proud for you for sharing your story. You've impacted every single one of us in this room today, and we all have so much love for you. And just know that this is a safe space for you to come to at any time. You've got all of our hearts now. And no, honestly, thank you, because just thank you, babe. Thank you for being here and sharing.
Thank you very much, Remi.
And make sure you get in
And
the box
I will
again.
be watching you next time I see the notification.
All right, darling. Big loves, Amy. Big
Thank you
loves.
very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Bye-bye.
darling. Take care. I'll drop you down
Oh,
because I know she wouldn't know how to get out. Oh, fuck me. Why do I do these lives? I end up crying all the time. Ah. Hello, Debs.
Hello, beautiful. It sounds like it's been an emotional live again this evening.
Do you know what? It's been a beautiful live this evening. It's been really,
Good.
really beautiful, and yeah, no, it has. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm really perimenopausing. You know, I've cried a lot in this last week. I don't know what's going on with me. Oh yeah, the
Mm.
music's coming, Lindsay. Don't you worry, the music's coming. I've cried a lot this week, and yeah, and like tonight I've had yeah. Do you know what I mean? Deb's just slid into the room at the right time. Have you been Zumbaing tonight? Is that why you're here late?
No, I never got to Zumba. I've just had 3 phone calls in a row, and so I never actually got to Zumba.
Oh, bless you. But your timing was impeccable. I know I demanded that she get in the box now. No, because I just knew with your experience and how lovely you are and supportive you are, I just knew that you would have some words of wisdom for Amy and for everyone in the room. So
Mm.
I'm so pleased that you came in, darling.
You're welcome. And I
Oh,
think for everybody in the room, I think because I know what when you're talking about subjects that may be triggering to other people, or there may be other people that have got similar experiences to those that are talking in the box, and that sometimes we can leave these lives, and we start going over and rethinking all of the stuff that's happened to us, or
yeah,
the things that have gone off in the past. And I think rather than doing that today, think about what you want things to be like in the future, rather than going over the past and ruminating, because we're very good at ruminating. Rather than doing that, to kind of change your mindset. And a lot of people say that really flippantly, and the reason that I've said that this evening is because it's easier to ruminate over the past, rather than change how you're sitting, change how you're standing, change what you're doing in the evening to help the evening be a lighter place,
yeah.
if that makes sense. And when tough subjects are discussed, we can often get ourselves into that place where we do keep crying. And also, Remi, it's fine to cry.
I know.
There's a lot of people who really struggle with people crying,
Yeah,
because they've been told in the past that crying, don't cry, or crying's weak, or all of those kind of things. I'm very lucky. My mum always told me to get it out.
yeah,
So if you needed to cry, you needed to cry.
yeah. No, I did. I definitely did. Um, Snail, I'm just about to wrap the room, darling, but I love you, so we'll have you very quickly. I want to play, I've got a song to play. Hello, Snail.
Need to join.
Hello.
Hello.
Um, we're not long going to wrap. Did you want to share something relatively quickly? I don't want to rush
Not
you.
really. I didn't actually mean to join.
Oh, it, it was an accident.
Sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry. We'll drop you down then. Don't worry. Lovely to see you,
Okay. Thank
Snail.
you.
Bye.
Yeah, and you.
Bye.
Bye.
Um. All right. Um. We've got a song to close, and I'm not going to lie. I've chosen 2 songs, and I keep flipping between the two, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make us all cry. But they both got really powerful words in. Um. So I'm just going to pick one. Um. Debs, big loves to you. I'm going to drop you down,
Big love, beauty.
and I'll give you a shout soon. All right. Love ya. Let's see if I can get out of here. Right. Um. So again, there. Can you just pop that poll back up while the song's on, guys? Um. There are numbers coming up in the text poll at the top of your screen. This image that's on the screen right now with resources is available. Um, if you click the link in my bio, you can access this. Also, If you do feel like after today, I know some of you have got in the box and some of you have opened up. If you are feeling, sorry, I'm just trying to close this window. If you are feeling like you need to talk to someone, I know there has been some lovely offers of people reaching out and saying, I'm here. There are numbers up there in that poll as well. If you need to reach out to anyone, please do. And don't suffer in silence with your mental health. Um, Thank you. Thanks, loves. I hope you've enjoyed tonight. I know it has been a bit emotional, and we've had some amazing, somebody said warriors in the comments, sharing, and in the box. And thank you everyone for being open. Um, it's really difficult when I do these lives because it's like, oh, I still want to do more. I still want to hold everyone. Um, and all I can really do is signpost people to the resources up there. Again, Fabulous Debs is in the chat. Follow Debs if you do want someone that you could reach out to now and have a conversation with. She's awesome at holding people. So if any of you do feel like really sensitive tonight, please do use some of the numbers and please do reach out to Debs below as well. Thank you, Nutty as a fruitcake. I appreciate you. I'm going to go on mute. I'm going to leave you with this song. And this song is, I want you all to really listen to the words. If you can just sit still for a couple of minutes and just listen to the words of this song and take it in, because we all deserve it. We all deserve this reminder. Big loves to you all. Right, I'm going on mute.